What if the map you hold to reach your heart's deepest desire is torn, incomplete, with pieces missing? Would you still follow it, or would you turn back in fear? It was an evening painted with shades of twilight. The horizon was softened with the fading colors of day, and a gentle breeze whispered through the grass as Jesus and his disciples gathered around a fire on a quiet hillside. They had traveled far, through dust and heat, yet there was a peace that settled over them in his presence. The fire crackled, casting soft shadows on their faces, and a sense of calm anticipation filled the air. Sensing the moment was ripe, Jesus looked at his disciples, each one lost in thought. He saw the questions they carried silently, the burdens they kept close, the fears and doubts that lay just beneath their words. Smiling, he spoke into the stillness, his voice both comforting and powerful. "Tonight," he began, "I want to tell you a story about a journey. A journey that began with a torn map, a young boy, and a heart full of dreams." The disciples leaned in, their hearts stirring with curiosity and a sense of wonder. They knew that every story Jesus shared was a doorway to hidden truths, and they were eager to walk through it with him. Once, in a quiet village cradled between green hills and rivers, Jesus continued, there lived a young boy named Nathan. Nathan was not like the other children in his village. While the others were content with the simple rhythms of life, Nathan was drawn to the unknown, the mysteries that lay beyond the village. He would often sit alone, watching the stars, his heart alive with questions, his mind filled with dreams. But more than anything, Nathan longed to find a place he called the land of blessings. This place, he had heard, was a realm of unmatched beauty and peace, a place where joy filled the air like sunlight and love was the very essence of life. As Jesus spoke, the disciples could almost see young Nathan in their minds, a small figure with wide, curious eyes, gazing beyond the horizon with a heart full of hope. One evening, as he sat beside his grandmother by their small hearth, he finally asked the question he had been carrying in his heart. "Grandmother," he whispered, his voice filled with a hope that trembled, "can you tell me how to find the land of blessings?" His grandmother looked at him with a tender smile, as though she had been waiting for this moment. She rose slowly, went to an old wooden chest that she kept hidden beneath her bed, and took out an ancient, worn map. The parchment was fragile, its edges frayed, and some of the ink had faded with time. But she held it as if it were the most precious thing in the world. She placed it in Nathan's hands, her eyes filled with a gentle wisdom that seemed to see beyond his question. Nathan's heart leaped with excitement as he held the map, but as he carefully unfolded it, his joy was replaced with confusion. The map was torn, with entire sections missing, and in some places, the ink was so faded that he could barely read the markings. He looked up at his grandmother, his hands shaking. "How can I follow a map that's broken? It's incomplete." His grandmother knelt beside him, her gaze full of warmth. "Nathan," she said softly, "this map is not like others. It will lead you to the land of blessings, but not by showing you every step. This journey will require something beyond sight. You must trust that each step you take will reveal the next, and that even if you cannot see the whole path, you are being guided. Walk with a true heart, and have faith that the way will reveal itself." Nathan was uncertain. How could a torn map guide him? But there was a calm assurance in her voice that stirred something within him, a quiet courage, a glimmer of hope. Her words stayed with him, echoing in his heart, and he knew he had to try. Jesus paused, letting the story settle over his disciples. He could see the recognition in their faces. Each one of them had stood at the edge of their own unknown, questioning whether they could find the way forward. He could see their fears, their doubts, and he continued with compassion. And so, with his grandmother's blessing, Nathan set out early the next morning, the torn map carefully tucked into his satchel. The first few days were filled with wonder. He wandered through fields of wildflowers that brushed against his legs, crossed gentle streams that sparkled in the sunlight, and felt the thrill of freedom and discovery. But soon, his journey led him to a dense forest that stretched as far as he could see. The trees rose tall and dark, their branches twisting together to form a thick canopy that blocked out the sun. He looked down at the map, hoping for guidance, but where the forest path should have been, there was only a tear, a jagged, empty space where the parchment had worn away. Nathan felt his heart sink. He was afraid. The forest looked ominous, and he felt small, lost, and very alone. For a moment he thought about turning back, going home to the comfort and safety of his village. But then he remembered his grandmother's words, "Walk with a true heart and have faith that the way will reveal itself." Taking a deep breath, Nathan stepped forward into the shadows, his feet crunching softly on the fallen leaves. The darkness seemed to close in around him, and he could hear only the quiet rustling of leaves and the occasional cry of a distant owl. Every step he took felt like a leap into the unknown. Fear gnawed at him, and doubt filled his mind like the shadows that surrounded him. But he pressed on, trusting that somehow he was being guided, even if he couldn't see how. The disciples felt a deep empathy for Nathan, each of them recalling moments in their own lives when they had faced similar fears. Jesus' voice was soft, but it held a power that touched them deeply. Nathan wandered for days through the forest, stumbling over roots and brushing against thorns that scratched his skin. There were times he thought he saw strange shapes moving in the shadows, and he would stop, his heart pounding, unsure if he was truly alone. At night, he would huddle under a tree, trying to find warmth and comfort in the quiet glow of his small fire. He wanted to give up, to turn back, but each time he thought about it, he remembered his grandmother's voice, urging him to walk with faith. One evening, as he sat by the fire, his spirit weary, he looked up at the night sky, searching for a sign. He felt a deep loneliness, a sense that he was completely adrift. Just as despair began to settle over him, he noticed a faint glow nearby. A small firefly hovered beside him, its gentle light illuminating the darkness. Then another joined, and another, until he was surrounded by a soft, warm glow. It was as if the universe was whispering, "You are not alone." Nathan felt a wave of gratitude and comfort. He closed his eyes, letting the warmth fill his heart, and in that moment he knew he had to keep going. He was not sure where he was headed, but he felt a quiet assurance that he was on the right path. The disciples were silent, captivated by the beauty and struggle of Nathan's journey. They understood now that this was more than just a story, it was a mirror of their own lives, a reminder of the times they had felt lost and afraid. Nathan continued his journey with a new sense of peace, a quiet confidence that even in the darkest moments he was being led. Each day brought new challenges, swift rivers he had to cross, jagged mountains he had to climb, and dry valleys that left him parched and weary. But in each moment of difficulty he found small signs of comfort, a gentle breeze that cooled his face, a flower blooming by the path, the laughter of children in a distant village. He began to realize that the land of blessings was not just a destination. It was a presence that walked with him, a love that held him through every trial. One night as he lay under the stars, he dreamed of his grandmother. She stood before him, radiant with love, and said, "Nathan, you're closer than you think. Remember, this journey was never about finding a place on a map. It was about discovering the strength in your heart, the light of faith that guides you even when you cannot see." When he awoke, her words lingered in his heart like a melody, filling him with a deep, quiet joy. He understood now that he was being guided by something far greater than a map. Each step, even the ones that seemed aimless, had brought him closer to his destination. Jesus' voice softened, and his disciples felt a deep peace wash over them as he continued. Finally, after many weeks of travel, Nathan climbed a hill just as the dawn was breaking. As he reached the top, he stopped, his heart pounding with awe. Below him lay a valley bathed in golden light, fields stretching as far as the eye could see, rivers winding through the land like silver ribbons, and a peace that filled the air like a song. Tears streamed down his face as he whispered, "I'm home." In that moment he understood that it wasn't the map that had guided him. It was the faith he had carried in his heart, the love that had held him in his darkest moments, and the quiet courage that had led him forward, step by step. He knew now that the land of blessings had been with him all along, growing within him, shaping him, and guiding him to this place of peace. Jesus looked around at his disciples, his eyes filled with love and understanding. My friends, life is much like Nathan's journey. You may not see the whole path and the map may feel torn and incomplete. But if you walk with faith, each step will reveal what you need to know. Trust that you are being guided, that even in your darkest moments, you are not alone. For God is not only the destination but the one who walks beside you, lighting your path with each step. One disciple, his voice filled with emotion, looked up and said, "Thank you, teacher, for reminding us that we are never truly alone." Jesus smiled, his face radiant with love, and whispered, "You are never alone. For love itself walks with you, guiding you to the place you are meant to be." In that moment, each disciple felt a peace that surpassed understanding, a quiet assurance that they, too, were on a journey guided by a love that would never let them go. They understood now that, like Nathan, they could walk forward with courage, trusting in the one who knew the way even when they did not. And as they sat by the fire, beneath the vast sky, they felt the quiet assurance that they were held, that they were loved, and that every step they took was leading them closer to a destination beyond their dreams. This is end of the story. Comment amen if you believe in Jesus' blessings. Please like this video and subscribe this channel for more Jesus story like this. May the God watch over you.